Hi everyone, CJ here. Just a quick announcement before we start today's show. 2 weeks ago, in episode 15, entitled Possession is 9/10 of the Law, we discussed digital ownership, future streaming platforms, and subscription-based modelling. The Mind is a City would just like to take this opportunity to declare that we, as humans, are of course influenced by other content creators as well. The Mind is a City will reference in the show that she has, of course, been influenced, like we all have as humans, by other content providers. This doesn't detract in any way from her opinion or beliefs, and she still firmly stands beside all of them. If you were interested in that topic and you'd like to do a little further listening, I would recommend the recent video that came out today as of recording, June 24th, The Gym Inquisition, on a similar topic. Thank you, listeners. And look, while I've got you here, don't forget, if you're enjoying the show, please give us a subscribe, a like, tell somebody, or tell us. Everything helps. And if you've got a spare 30 seconds, how about jumping quickly onto Twitter and letting The Mind is a City, at The Mind is a City, know what a wonderful job she's doing and what a fantastic asset to the trophy hunting community she is. Thanks, everyone. Hope you enjoy the show.
It's time for Push to Play, your weekly trophy podcast with Mindy and CJ.
Hello, listeners. Thank you for joining us. We're up to episode 17, and boy, do we have a show for you today. Last couple of weeks, we've had some fantastic guests, some pretty deep conversation. So this week, we thought we'd trivialize it a little bit more and go back to what we all love, just some talk about games. And to do that with me today is my wonderful, fabulous, amazing co-host. The Mind is a City. How are you today?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
Look, yeah, I'm pretty good. It's pretty cold over here at the moment in Australia. In fact, it's actually freezing outside. I suppose not freezing compared to American temperatures, but for Sydney, it's very cold.
I was going to say, is that like when people in California say they're cold because it's like, 70 degrees instead of 80?
It's not quite as bad as that or whatever else. We're obviously, the superior race here. We use degrees Celsius, not this Fahrenheit garbage. So it gets down to maybe like 9 or 10 in the mornings if you're crazy and start early, like some of us work suckers have to do. So it's brisk, that's for sure. So yeah, but it's not too bad. Now, Mindy, I see you've been playing a ton of stuff over the last couple of weeks, so I'm looking forward to getting into that with you today. I know you've also been busy on the guide writing ship as well.
I have, yeah. I do want to start out. I do have a bit of a mea culpa to confess to. So the last time I was on, we talked about digital ownership of digital games. And while I fully believe in the things I have said, I realized after we recorded and I kind of listened back to, because sometimes when you record, you kind of get out of it and you're like, what did I say? You're just kind of in the moment and then you leave it and you're like, did I say the things that I wanted to say? And you kind of listen to it, or it's just pure narcissism. I don't know. But I listened to that part of the podcast again, and I realized that a lot of the stuff a lot of the specific things that I said were things that Jim Sterling had said. Like specifically specific examples that I gave. Like I mentioned Tomb Raider. Like Tomb Raider's exclusivity, Xbox One exclusivity, because it was considered a sales failure, even though it only sold several million copies, was almost verbatim Jim Sterling. And I couldn't not mention that I had done this, given that the first time I was on this podcast, we talked about plagiarism.
Yes.
And mine was fully unintentional. In fact, there is a term for this, and it's called cryptomnesia. And literally what it means is when you have a thought and you think it's your own thought, but it's not. It's something you have heard and you have forgotten where you've heard it, and you think it's your own thought. That term gets thrown around a lot within like the comedy scene when people talk about joke stealing. That term gets thrown around a lot, but I couldn't not remark that this thing had happened. Call it Monday morning quarterbacking. I don't know, but was not intentional. I do stand by those points. They are my beliefs, but some of those specific words were not mine, and it was entirely unintentional. And for Jim Sterling, who will never listen to this, I apologize.
Well, that's very honest of you. See, it's funny, because the profession that I work in music, it's a widely accepted practice to beg, borrow, and steal from everybody and anybody in the way you create your own work as well. So, well, influence, I suppose, is the word we prefer to use. But I totally understand what you mean. Obviously, listeners, it's very difficult to keep up with everything, and when we're consuming a lot of media, as I'm sure you are as well, it can be really difficult to know if you are doing some cryptonesia. That's correct. Is that the right word there, Minty? Cryptonesia or not?
Yeah, it's a good word.
It's a great word. I'm gonna look. It's like Metroidvania, Cryptonesia. I'm just gonna keep saying it. I don't really know what it means or why, but I'm gonna do it. I like it.
Do you really not know what it? Because I can actually explain to you what Metroidvania means.
I know you can, and I'm gonna close the door quickly on that one. Yeah, we can maybe bring that up again later on. I know it shocks you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes,
Did I bring that up? No, I didn't.
I didn't know, but look, they're both great words, so fantastic. So look, why don't we move on to the question today? So in the tradition of last week where we talked about movies that have scared you as a child or whatever, and last.
So I took over the Twitter because
Yes.
I was listening to last week's episode and I was almost floored that you all talked about Oompa Loompas and you did not mention the acid trip boat scene from Willy Wonka.
You weren't the only one I read that was shocked by that. So. But I think the Oompa Loompas were worse. I really do.
Like, I understand that the concept of them, I guess, is more horrific, that he's just got this army of little singing people that just don't do anything and then they take bodies away. Like, I understand that concept is terrifying. But like, that movie has a strobe light boat ride and videos of chickens getting their heads cut off, because watch it, that's what's in it.
Yes, yeah.
And y'all don't mention that.
I think I was just too scarred before that point. So I've blocked it out. That was years of a psychotherapy there that's just gone down the drain. But thank you for that.
I guess I feel like it's been so long since I've seen it, but I feel like the boat ride was before the Oompa Loompas showed up.
Yeah, I don't look.
I could be wrong. It's been years since I watched that movie.
Yes, yeah.
But I have something to contribute to that.
Please.
And it's kind of embarrassing because I love this movie. I will watch it, but I am years old and I still will not watch this scene.
Which movie?
And it's not because it's particularly graphic or anything, because it's not. It's just it hurt me so much as a child, and it was Never-Ending Story, and it was Artax in the Swamps of Sadness.
Yes.
I will still skip past that scene.
Yes. Now that wow.
Yeah, it's like it's not even particularly graphic. I'm sure it looks, pretty fakey now, but like, how you hear certain things and you get these kind of audio clips that just stay in your head? And Atreyu screaming at Artax it's in there.
Wow.
Yeah. So I will, if I'm watching Never-Ending Story, skip.
Who was a boy
scene.
growing up in the 80s didn't want to be Atreyu? Wow. What a fantastic movie. That was,
I know, right?
It was fantastic, yeah.
Dude, I was a girl growing up in the 80s, and I was like, that's
Yeah.
pretty sweet. Like, he had a cool
Yeah, very
quest.
cool. Yeah, that's a great movie. I'd completely forgotten about that. Thank you. Thank you for that, throwing that one up there. So why don't we move into today then? I like this one as well. In a similar vein, and it'll be interesting to see your answer here, Minji, because I have a corker of an answer. What is the most embarrassing TV show you have watched that you wouldn't admit to watching? So it doesn't have to be a modern show now. It can be, a show from any point in your life, but something that most people would consider embarrassing that you wouldn't want to admit to.
Oh. Now, I don't think anything. I think anything I watch, I'll fess up to.
Yes, yeah. Was there something back in the past, perhaps, that would be considered embarrassing television?
Yeah, I grew up watching a lot of Nick at Night.
Mm,
It was this I don't know if you have something comparable. It was this channel that showed a lot of older TV shows. So like I grew up
okay.
watching Get Smart. Actually my if you go to my Twitter at the Mind of the City, my avatar is Maxwell Smart from Get Smart.
Yes.
The guy with the shoe phone. I watched uh Adam West Batman, who is my favorite, the best Batman, and that is the hill I will die on.
It's controversial.
Oh, he was the best, man. Like, I fully acknowledge he was a terrible Batman, like, but I love him so much. I guess the closest thing I would come to is when I used to watch Power Rangers.
Oh, okay.
Back when, like, it was very much something that 12-year-old, and I was the demographic age for it, but, like, it was a boys'
Mm,
show,
mm,
you
mhm,
know?
mm.
So, I guess I didn't
You wouldn't have known any different.
I don't remember telling my friends that I watched Power
Yeah.
Rangers, but, like, I would get up early in the morning before school 'cause there would be, like, a rerun on and watch Power Rangers. So I guess that's the closest I have. I don't think I have anything that I'm just like, "Oh my god, I can't believe I watched this." For a while, I watched, like, the Real Housewives shows because they were just trash, but then reality TV just got too, like, everywhere and disgusting, and I stopped. Plus, I wasn't it's one of those things I hate watched with a friend. The whole point is you watch it and
Yes.
you're just, like, snarky assholes for an hour,
Hate
and I'm
watch.
not friends with that person anymore, so I'm like, "Well, I'm not gonna watch this alone. That's not fun."
That's a great term, hate watch. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's how I would describe I used to watch, Sleepy Hollow, this show that had a ton of potential, and Fox just railroaded it into committees, which killed the show. So the last, I would say, season, I didn't even watch the final season
Yeah.
of that show, but season 3, I was basically hate watching it.
Yeah.
I was like, "I hate what you've done to this show."
But I can't stop.
But I can't stop because you still have this story that I'm all about,
Yes.
that you are killing.
Yeah.
You are murdering it week by week, and not in the good way.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. I like that.
Yeah, but you said you have a corker, so I wanna hear it.
I do. Now, I thought this show was great. Now, it's the funny how time changes because when I thought I was probably
Is it
about
is it is it is it Skippy the Bush
no,
Kangaroo?
it's not. It's an American show. Uh,
Okay.
it's so it's not. No, it's not Skippy. That would not be embarrassing either, of course. And I thought I was probably around 13 or 14 when I watched this show. But then I checked. I checked the other day about when this show first aired, and I couldn't have been 13 or 14. I would have been a little bit older than that. So that's even more embarrassing, perhaps. But it is the fantastic American soapy. Well, I suppose soapy romance. So open up your morning light and say a little prayer for I. You know that if I were to stay alive, then see the peace in every eye. And I don't want to wait for our lives to be over. Will it be? Yes, or will it be? That's right. So you're also a Creek artist. So we had like Pacey and Joey, the love triangle, and Dawson and Andy. Oh my goodness, it's all coming back. What a fantastic what a fantastic show. It was such a Mitch was the father. Oh, I forget the mother's Gail maybe name. It wasn't scary that I can still remember all that. So it was very. I think there was like I was looking it up today. There's like 6 seasons, but I think I only watched 2. So I was unfortunately probably just a little bit too old to completely associate with that. But I remember at the time, I think it had the fantastic Katie Holmes, who went on surprisingly to be Tom Cruise's wife. Who would have ever seen that coming? Stunningly beautiful girl at that time, and still is. So, did you ever watch it, Mindy, or not?
I did not.
You just knew the song.
Well, because that song was everywhere.
Yeah.
No, I never watched it, but you do you, man. If it made you happy.
That's right. Look, it did. At that age, it really did, or whatever. A transition point for me, perhaps, into that age, or whatever. So, look, I don't know, listeners. Do you have an embarrassing show or not? Can it be more embarrassing than Dawson's Creek? Surely not.
I don't know. Did you ever watch My So-Called Life?
No, I don't know this.
With it kind of got Claire Danes on the map.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's one of those kind of and Jared Leto. That was his kind of big breakout, and it's that same kind of soapy.
Yeah. Teen angst.
Soapy nonsense.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
Just quintessentially 90s.
Yes.
And
yeah.
Not actually a bad show. It had the bones of something good, but it was one of those one season jobbies.
Yes.
That was just on the wrong network, I guess.
Well, I love that period. I mean, there's nothing more righteous than a 17-year or 18-year-old, in life that knows everything and has their life planned out. And when they hit their 30s, they realize how life really is. It's a fantastically wonderful time to idolize, I suppose. So anyway, Mindy, let's move on because there's a lot to get through here today. What have you been playing? What have you been guiding? Like, what have you been doing?
Oh gosh,
this is just ridiculous.
What have I not been playing?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so last time I was on, what did I play? I was in Telltale Hell.
Let's not revisit that.
So that's done. The last thing I had to finish up was the 2nd season of Batman, and I did that, so that's done.
Yes.
Played a couple of spammy things. The Adventure Pals. This one I picked up in some sale or another. It's like $15 on PSN. This is one that I guided because there's not a whole lot out there about this game. It's charming. I really liked it, and I think the creators took some inspiration from like Adventure Time. It's that same kind of silly nonsense, but it's just kind of an action platformer. Pretty easy trophy list. Nothing. There's only one missable trophy, and it's pretty early on in the game. So if you miss it,
okay,
you can pick it up fairly easily. And it's about a boy and his magic giraffe.
Oh.
And his pet rock. And every
boy likes his magic giraffe, don't they?
It's a boy and his magic giraffe and his pet rock, and they set off to save.
Oh, sorry, it's a real giraffe. I thought you were making a euphemism there. Sorry, it really is a giraffe.
No, it's a giraffe.
Okay, sorry about that.
It's a real giraffe.
So the pet rock is real as well, then.
And the pet rock is real too. Yes, it is. Fantastic. And they set off to save his kidnapped father.
Yeah.
And also save the world from being turned into giant hot dog people.
Oh.
That is also not a euphemism. It's just goofy, and there's a charm to it that I really like.
Okay.
And I think people should check it out.
How long is the game roughly?
Oh, if you're going for the platinum, 10 hours maybe.
Yeah.
Not long.
And you said about $15 on sale also. Yeah, nice.
No, it's $15 normally.
Oh, normally, sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a decent price then, not crazy. Yeah. That's
cool. Yeah, no, not at all.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Excellent. Okay. And only one missable. Well, that's always a plus.
Right.
I may need to look at your guide for that. What else would you like to throw at us?
What else have I played? Well, Leisure Suit Larry came out.
Yes.
I am the first person in the world to get that.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And as of right now, I am still the fastest platinum earner at 3 hours and 9 minutes.
When I looked the other day, you were the fastest by a margin as well. Like you're quite safe there, I thought.
By like an
Yes,
hour.
that's a fair bit. In 3 hours, an hour. Yeah. And now you wrote the guide for this game, didn't you?
I did, yes.
Can I ask you, which section of the guide did you not need to follow to save the hour?
You know, when I test my walkthroughs, it's kind of I don't have to read the guide, especially because I just wrote it. So it's more kind of
Yeah.
skimming and saying, "Oh, which trophy am I working on right now?" And just kind of skimming and making sure I'm hitting them in that order.
Mm-hmm. Good. Okay. So there's no like walk around the table 10 times for no reason.
Exactly.
Situation in there. Okay. Just checking.
Let's see, just spammy stuff. Candle, I've played.
Now this game's been out for
No,
a little while.
This is not Candle Man.
No.
This is Candle. They're two different.
Yeah, it's a very nice animation.
Candle, the Power of the Flame. It's got a really cool art style. It's a puzzle adventure game, and it's I should have pulled up a summary because it's been a little while. You're like this little tribesman, and your hand is a candle, and like your entire tribe has been kidnapped by this like bird god. I meant to look in to see if this is like based on any sort of kind of folklore, like not the specific characters, but just in general based on folklore, and I didn't actually look it up. It's got that kind of like the art style and stuff, it's got a feel of this is based off of something, like folklore or something. Yeah, it's charming. It's a little the
Yeah.
platforming controls are a little heavy. I don't know how else to explain it. It works just fine. There's not a ton of platforming, so you're generally okay, but the controls are a little heavy. Not sluggish, just heavy. And I don't know how else to explain it.
It actually has that hand-drawn look to it as well, that art style, doesn't it? I'm not sure if it is or not. I don't know about that game, but
Yeah.
yeah,
It's a gorgeous looking game.
yeah. Okay, and roughly how long is that game? For the
Oh, for a platinum, 4 or 5 hours.
Oh wow, okay, it's quite short then. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like the fastest platinum time has been like 2.5 hours. So
Yeah.
realistically, 4
Yeah.
hours, 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah, but actually enjoyable as well, not just a.
Yeah, there's this one section that's all platforming that's really, really awful. Mostly because the checkpoint system is terrible. But other than that, no, it's good. And there's a walkthrough on achievements, just a step-by-step achievement walkthrough for it.
Yeah, that's quite good, that walkthrough, actually. I remember reading it at one point when I was considering that game. Yeah, cool. Excellent. Oh,
Let's see what else.
look at this Pix arc in 49 minutes. That's fantastic for a MMO style game, Mindy. Well done.
Yeah, it's almost like it's a trophy spam game with an admin menu.
Yes. What did you think, though? I mean, you spent 49 minutes with it. Are you sort of shocked that this sort of game, because this comes off the Arc Evolve series of games as well.
Yeah, it's just not my jam, man. Like I can
No.
the brief period of time that I spent in it, I can see why people would like it. It's just not my thing. This falls firmly into the Conan game, as if there was not, the debug menu or whatever. This would not be on my profile.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I don't know. They're incomplete games.
But I needed a cheap platinum because I'm almost at 500 platinums. So
I can see that. Yeah, good. But we won't talk about that. And then their house in Fata Morgana. Yes, you should read that at some point.
Yeah,
one day.
when I stack it on Vita, I'm actually gonna read it.
Yeah, it's good. It's very good. I'm only listeners. I'm reading it. It'll probably take me the next year. I'm only sort of, I don't know, like maybe a quarter of the way through, and it starts off very slow, but it's really opening up, and yeah, it is good. I would definitely recommend reading that at some point.
Couple more things here. Another spam game. I did that tarot reading game. Frisky business. Stay the hell away from this game.
It's not that bad.
No, the trophies are broken, dude. And I'm pretty sure if you have the European version, you can't get the trophies. Like half of them. they released a patch. When it first released, there was one bugged trophy, and then they released a patch to fix it, and it broke like 6 other trophies in that game. If you look, my completion time is 10 months because I got most of the trophies and I stopped because it's a visual novel and it's short, but you cannot text skip. So you have to sit there for 10 or 15 minutes pressing, X or whatever to get to the part where you can attempt to do the trophy again. And then you don't know if you've done it until you finish the game because the specific trophy does not unlock until you've finished the game.
Is this the game with the sleazy detective and all like the girls in it?
Yeah.
Yeah. There are some funny one-liners in that game. I didn't know.
Yeah,
about the
I can
trophies,
see,
but-
I can see, and I think there's a sequel on PC for it.
Okay.
But if you want to play it on computer.
Yeah.
Stay the hell away from it on PS4.
Stay away from the trophies, yeah. Hunt your Steam achievements there, perhaps.
Yeah, right?
Fair enough, yeah.
And then lest people think all I play is trophy spam and point and clicks, I played South Park Fractured But Whole.
Oh, fantastic. Yes. Highly inappropriate game.
Yeah, I had fun with it. I feel like I enjoyed Stick of Truth more. I think Stick of Truth is more inappropriate, but this one had a better trophy list because I could just enjoy the game. I couldn't miss anything.
Yeah, and the combat in this game was a little bit more evolved as well than the first game. I thought there was a little bit more. I don't know if you found that a little more involved.
Yeah, and it took a bit for me to figure out a combination that worked for me, and surprisingly meant I used characters or rather character classes that I generally use in a game like this. Like I used buffs a lot more in this game than I generally would in a game like this.
I quite like that feature because I'm the same. I tend to avoid stuff. I look at it and go, well, that's nice, but I'm not going to get involved with that. And I think the game really lent itself, to you needing to do that, to make the fights. And it was quite approachable, I think, once you got into it. It wasn't like crazy over the top. Like the crafting and all that stuff was fairly straightforward.
Yeah, I would say my 2 biggest gripes with this game were, one, there's no fucking block button. You just have to sit there and take it.
Yeah, well, it is turn-based. Yeah.
I know, but I'm pretty sure in the last one you could block attacks. So
yeah, okay.
Combine this with the best you get in this game is you can time your button press on the last hit you get, and it recovers a bit of your health and it fills up your ultimate attack bar a little more. But combine this with the fact that there's a trophy for playing on the hardest difficulty in the game as a black character, which means that you're not getting a ton of money from battles and stuff you buy is more expensive, and you're just getting nailed by these enemies. And it's not like there's an inn you can go save it, rest at. Healing items are expensive compared to the money you're making. The only good thing is that you heal after every battle. But still, some of these battles are long. There are several waves of enemies, and you think you're done. Oh no, here's 4 more things that are here to kill you.
Yes.
And the other thing is there were too many battles like that. There were too many kind of gimmicky battles.
Yes. Well, the problem with that game and a lot of these games, to fill them out, they have these instance battles where you're just walking and then one of the kids or whatever will just run down the thing and the battle starts. I find that sort of stuff, you don't always have control over when you're going to enter a battle. So it's just filler in effect. I find that stuff, and I think that's what you're alluding to there. It's just a little bit too much at times, especially if you just want to cross the screen and get to the other side. You don't really want to engage in I forget what they were, the girls or the boys groups.
Well, it's fairly easy to avoid them.
Yes, but
they don't chase you. All you have to do is just walk by them.
Yeah. But they're there.
I did think it was really charming though that because this is all make believe. This is just a bunch of neighborhood kids, I did find it really charming that randomly in some battles outside, the group will just be like, car, and then they'll move on the sidewalk, and then a car will drive by, and they'll get back on the street and keep fighting.
Yeah, it's a real fourth wall breaker, that, isn't it? Yeah, it's good. Yeah, that's good. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed that. Yeah, and the funny thing, I mean, even though you say it was difficult, like a lot of the fights, if you lost, you replay again and you have a strategy because you sort of know how it's going to unfold. So it is easier. So I think, I mean, that game. Anything with a hard trophy playthrough scares me completely, but I think that game is definitely very manageable and to do.
Yeah, it is. Even on the hardest difficulty, two bits of advice specifically for the hard trophy. One, since the game release, they patched in a harder difficulty. That will not get you the beat the game on hard difficulty. And then two, beat the game because Morgan Freeman. There's a trophy for beating the shit out of Morgan Freeman. One, he will not fight you if you're black. So you have to beat the game first so you can stop being black, because otherwise you'll
Yes.
avoid the hard difficulty trophy. Two, kick the combat difficulty down to normal or easy before you take him on, because he is a long fight. He's got a lot of HP. Morgan Freeman fight dirty, man. Like,
Does that surprise you though? It doesn't surprise me.
no, he was fair except when he wasn't.
Also, I think the last story battle, I suppose, or mission battle, that's quite long as well, isn't it? That has multiple stages to it as well. I remember finding
It
that
does, and
challenging.
it's one of those games that the battles leading up to the final battle
Yes.
were harder than the final battle.
Is that what it was? Yeah. It's been a while since I played.
It was just this gauntlet of nonstop fighting, and I didn't die during this stretch, but
Yeah.
I sincerely hope that if I did, I would not have to start the gauntlet from the beginning.
I think you do have to, because I remember dying and I yeah, more than once, listeners, unsurprisingly. So yeah, I do remember that. Okay, that's good. And I don't know if you know, Mindy, but there's actually some DLC for that game. No trophy DLC though.
I didn't touch it because one of them's like an arena mode, right? I didn't care that much.
Yeah, I never tried it either. I think there was a story one, but I think it was very short, like maybe an hour or something as well, with the coon, the coon. Poor Cartman. So yeah. Well, one day, perhaps. Yeah, that's good. Did you speak?
No, Cartman is not to be
No,
pitied.
well, well, I don't know. Look at his mother, the sexual deviant that is his mother.
I haven't watched South Park in like 15 years, but last I checked, he was not a character to be pitied.
Yes, that's true. And Ike, does Ike make an appearance? I can't remember. Baby Ike, is Ike in this game? I know he's in the first one. Surely he was in there somewhere.
Yeah, but he's just there and you can talk to him. He doesn't do anything.
Yeah, that's a shame. Oh, that's right. He's in his room, isn't he? Oh, it's coming back to me now. Yeah, cool. And then, did you want to talk about this Dadealus at all?
Yeah. So this is weird. I only play 2 games like this. It's this and Senran Kagura. What was the rhythm game? Bon Appetit.
Yes, the cuisine, cooking rhythm game. Yeah.
No matter what version you buy, it's going to show up on your profile as the Japanese version. It's like they all took that one trophy list and there's no stack, but for some reason it defaults to the Japanese text. So like on your system it'll be in English, but if you sync it to a, PSMP or something, it'll be in Japanese. But it's a visual novel. It's a detective visual novel, so you do some very minor it's more technically it's more of a, it's like a subgenre of mystery game called a like a logic or a reasoning mystery, like the Phoenix Wright games are like this. And it's called, depending on what country you live in, called Jake Hunter Daedalus: The Awakening of Golden Jazz. Jake Hunter is a long running kind of detective series in Japan. There have only been like 3 or 4 entries released in the West, but Daedalus is like the 15th entry in the series. So this has been going on for a while.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay, yeah. Is the reference to the golden jazz, like, is there good music in this, or is that it's got nothing to do with that? Is that just the name of it?
Yeah, it's as far as I was able to tell, it's all about the soundtrack. Um, it's a good
Okay, it's a
soundtrack.
good soundtrack.
I don't recall reading
Yeah,
anything about the golden jazz in this game. Daedalus is
no,
is a reference to things in the game, but not golden jazz.
yeah.
And because I know you're gonna ask if you're already into Jake Hunter, this is worth a read. If you're
Hmm.
not, this is to be treated as trophy spam.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is it a skipping game though, or is there no skip with this style of game? Do
No,
you skip?
there's skip. I got this
Uh,
platinum in less than 3 hours.
oh wow.
There
Okay.
is tech skip. It is very fast tech skip. And
Yeah. Yeah.
that having been said, oh my god, I played the final chapter of that game like 5 or 6 times. But I did write a walkthrough, and it reminds. I put this on my Twitter. I said I don't often write walkthroughs for visual novels, but when I do, it reminds me why I don't often write walkthroughs for visual novels.
Oh
I am
come on.
not I am not wired that way. To find kind of checkpoint flags. And the problem is, thankfully, I finally found my Google Foo finally turned up like 4 different websites that had each pieced together part of the game. And so I played this game with Google Translate, which is always questionable, of these 4 different websites. And I'm just kind of cross-checking between the four of like, oh, is this a story flag? Is this a story flag? Okay, this is not a story flag, even though it's definitely not, you know. And I finally cobbled this thing together.
Yeah.
But holy cow. At least there's chapter select.
I think you're selling yourself a bit short there because before you attacked this and your walkthrough, the only people that really had finished this game were all Japanese speakers. I'm looking down the list, or most of them that I know can read Japanese, so they probably could utilize the sites to help them perhaps. There wasn't not a lot of information about this game, I don't think at all. So you've done a fantastic job.
That's true. Well, but the game, I gotta say, the game was in English, so I'm not like one of those people who's writing a walkthrough for a
No,
Japanese language visual novel, not speaking a lick of the language. It was in English, and so I had the advantage of looking at this poorly Google translated, and then looking at the English translation and saying, "Oh, this is what it means. This is what they mean to say." Okay.
yeah. Oh no, I'm sort of referencing the source materials that are available because this game did come out in Japan in December last year, and then a month or two ago it came out on the Hong Kong store for the Asian region, and then just recently it's come out, I think, only in the NA store, or perhaps the EU too. But the interesting thing is all the versions share one stack. It's not a stackable game, and the trophy list is in Japanese, so it's the original list has just been pushed across all those
Yeah.
versions. So you can buy it on any store, I suppose, and you'd be playing this
Mhm.
one.
Just buy an English language one. The Hong Kong version is English. It's the one
Yeah,
I played. I would be interested to know if anyone buys the North American one, if the English translation is the same as the Hong
yeah.
Kong one, because the Hong Kong English translation is mostly fine. There's some part there's some parts where I'm kind of like, oh, I get what you mean to say, but this does not actually make sense if you are a native
Yeah,
English
that might be the
speaker.
localization. I just looked there. It actually came out the next day. So it was in the Hong Kong store one day and then the North American stack the next day. So it must be, I'd say it's exactly the same port of that game localization. But it would be interesting to know. Listeners, if you're looking for that, I would probably recommend checking the price on the NA store. It was, a month or two ago, it was a lot cheaper than the Hong Kong store. So it could be something to check.
I think it's like $40 on the NA store. It's
No,
not
no, but
cheap.
I think the price on the Hong Kong store may have been even more than that in conversion, but I'm not sure. Yeah,
Hong
yeah, in Hong
Kong.
Kong dollars. Yeah, that's
Mhm.
cool. That's a lot of stuff. I know there's one more there, but we might just save that one for a moment because I think we're gonna round
Yeah,
table.
I
We're gonna
think we
round
should.
table that. So look, I'm just gonna throw.
Plus, I've been talking for like an hour. So, what have you been playing? Right, tradition. What have you been failing to play this week?
Well, look, look as usual. I've played nothing and everything. So right down the middle. So look, I'll throw out first off. I'm going to throw out an apology for the FE game. So I know you questioned me a little bit on this last time, and I was a little bit vague. I may have implied, well, I did, that the central character, the dude, is actually named Effie, but that's not the case. There is no transgendered things going on in this game at all. It's not the case. So what it actually happens, and I'm sure there were a few listeners that were listening last time and probably grinding their teeth that I made such an awful mistake. But at the start of the game, you're actually you're sitting around the fire at home, and you're telling Effie, the young girl, a story. Your story, if you like, with a few liberalizations, I think, as it goes on. So that's the genesis of this game, and from that it starts and moves into the world. So I played some more of this game now. I've done the sort of the first 2 worlds in the intro, so I think I've got one sort of world level thing to do, and then the general hub and the ending. So probably about halfway through, and I must say I really enjoying this game. I reached out to the developers and also congratulated them, and because I think it's a really fine job for a small studio. It's a beautiful looking game. It reminds me a lot of almost like one of the Skylanders games in a way. Obviously, not the Toys to Life part, but the sort of the running around and the combat sort of hack and slash, I suppose is the word, style. You attack with your enemies and stuff. So it's cute, and the music is fantastic. Like there's the section I did second, the Woodburn. It's sort of a little horror filled, I suppose, in a very sort of kid friendly way. And just the music that comes in, it just makes you smile. It's sort of like almost like Disney, sort of like darky sort of horror element music or whatever else. It's good, and there's a lot of variety in the boss fights. I thought the first one was generic, but the second one, and I won't spoil it, but it wasn't what I was expecting at all, and I found it initially a little tricky to start with because it's not my forte, that style of play by any stretch, but as I got through it, I saw it and I thought it was really good. So I am looking forward to seeing more or to see the end of that game, and I am double stacking it. So listeners, it is available on the EU and the NA, so I believe you can do it in 3 to 4 hours if you know what you're doing. But as a gentle sort of experience, I think like 6 hours is fine, and you get to explore and see everything. And I know there is a guide. I think there are a few missables with the relics and things, but again, if you look around, I don't think you really need it. Everything is fairly straightforward. But you can check that out.
I think Velvet wrote that guide.
Yeah. I must admit there was one that was in a pipe that I would have definitely missed if I hadn't seen it in the guide. So some are easy to find, some are not. But the rest of the trophies come through natural attrition, I think. So that was quite good. I enjoyed that. And then this little VR game, Luna, that can be played in VR or not in VR. So it's your choice how you play it. And it's like a little storybook game, if you like one of these games where you have the god perspective. You're up above and looking down on the little setting, whatever else, and it's all about the story of this little bird narrated as it goes through. And again, it's a very it's a very short game. It can be done in an hour. It's very beautiful game as well. The puzzling, if you can call it puzzles, the music-based puzzles, I suppose, they're very, very straightforward and easy. And then the general gameplay of the game is just to place different plants and fauna in the little world, and there's sort of 3 or 4 different little worlds. And it you could take your time sculpting it if you wanted, or you could just drop them anywhere, I suppose, and that would be there. And it's just a cute little like a palate cleanser, if you like, between long games, I think. Now, in full disclosure, I didn't play this in VR. I chose to just play it on PS4, but I think it still worked fantastically. I'm sure in VR it would be a really nice experience as well, and one that would leave you smiling. I think you should try that game, Mindy. I think you would like it. Yes, it's PS4 too, so that's just going to put you further away from it.
I know.
So looking through, there's a couple of other things here that I've been dabbling in. There's a couple of VNs or whatever else, which we don't need to muddy the listeners' ears with that sort of garbage. I did start a little Crash Team Racing. It's fun. I enjoy it. I didn't obviously play the original, so I don't have the nostalgia trip with a lot of these older games that are doing, but it looks beautiful, and it handles great or whatever else. And I'm sure the people that are interested are already on top of that. I understand it's going to be a tough plat, which doesn't concern me because I'm not going to go for it. But if you are, that might be something to consider. And then I'm going to throw out just one more before we get to the general one that we're both playing. And this is the Super Neptunia RPG. So I don't know. I think a NEP game has come up before, Mindy, but I think they're not really your games, are they? You haven't played.
I haven't played them.
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
I've bought like 2 of them on Vita
Mm.
because they were on crazy, like less than $1 sale.
Yes.
Because I've said several times, JRPGs I can do them on handhelds now, but I can't really do them on console. And the majority of these
Mm.
games are on console.
Yes. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of them, of these games as well. I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
everybody owns at least one of these. Even if you don't remember buying it, you probably own it. It's one of these franchises. They just word their way onto your list. And look, they're fine for what they are. I know they have a big following. Like I played 3/4 of one on the Vita, which I thought was awesome. I played sort of a spin-off with the Four Goddesses Online, a Cyber Dimensions game, which I thought was fantastic through there. So this one's obviously in that style. It's on console. It's all 2D though. They're normally 3D games. Obviously, this is all 2D. So it's sort of a platformer, if you like, with I don't know how to describe it. Like you've got your quests and everything else. It's a turn-based combat system as well, but it's really beautifully animated game or beautifully drawn game, I suppose you can say too. And it's sort of, I mean, the quests are fetch questy, like with all of these style of games or whatever, but they're not. I don't know. For a game that you're always used to playing 3D, I'm probably not explaining myself well here, Mindy. For a game series that you're used to seeing in 3D all the time, to suddenly play it in 2D, it's very different. It just feels weird, where you're always going, across the screen. You can't go up or down, I suppose, in the depth.
So it's a throwback. It's a 16-bit RPG.
Well, no, it's not. It's not it's modern resolution, modern. In every other sense, it's a totally modern game.
Sorry, that's what I meant. It's a throwback.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes, yeah, in that style, yeah. So it's and for those people that are familiar with the net, it's the same sort of humor that's in there as well, which is sort of cute or whatever else. So this game, I'm not sure. I have a feeling this game doesn't actually come out till the end of this week. So. Yeah, I think something happened there. Someone may have passed me a copy a little too early, but whatever. We won't talk about that. It's definitely worth it. I know it's going to be a full price game as well, but for someone like myself who's not hugely into the series but sort of likes it from afar, I think it's a good jumping in point. Yeah, and I look forward to. I mean, literally, I've only played 2 hours because it only turned up yesterday, so I'm looking forward to getting more into that. So there's a bit of. Just looking down, I didn't want to miss anything, but I think that's everything. And there's something on my list you didn't see, which is good because I haven't started it, and I know you would have asked about it otherwise. So we just won't talk about that at all.
I know what you're talking about.
Do you?
I'm gonna ask you about Kid Trip.
No. Well, we can talk about that. So this is available on the Asian store, I believe, only at this point. I'm sure it's coming everywhere this week. It came there last week. So it plays a little bit like. Did you ever play a game called One Tap Hero?
No.
Okay, so it's basically like a runner, a side-scrolling 2D runner. This game, if you like, and I think there's a couple of trophies in never slowing down, so basically going full speed the whole time. But I don't think it's incredibly easy. But then, well, I'm not good at these games anyway. So I mean, if you are, it possibly could be. I'm just having a look down to see. I know there was some confusion with one of the trophies or whatever else, but no, some people have platted it. Yeah, look at that, Fisty's platted it, so he's all over that. And oh, look at this. Our new god has platted it as well. It commences excellent. So it's definitely doable on that hard boiled duck. So they're all pretty extreme players. So if you're in that league, you'll probably love it. And I think it can be done in a few hours if you're good at that style, or in a few years if you're not. Like me with those speed runs, that'll be interesting. The other one we should, because I saw that you mentioned you bought this the other day, the Grand Tour game. Was that?
Yeah, I haven't started it yet.
Well, we'll hold off on that till you do. But I did decide to go.
But I did see on your profile that you have. When I say fail to play, I mean literally fail to play because you have not earned one single trophy. Bloodstained Ritual of the Night.
Yes.
That's
so I
the
sort of
one
got
you said
talked
you
into
were
that.
surprised I didn't see, right? Because I
I
saw it.
was.
I'm
I
more
was surprised to
observant than
see
you
that
think
there.
I am.
I was surprised to see that there myself. No, I got talked into that game a little bit last week. Folly was a big advocate for that game, and he told me about the trailer. I went and watched it, and I thought the trailer was hilarious. It was fantastic. So I'm interested. The game is going to be way too difficult for me, I'm sure, just looking down it. But I'll give it a go for sure because it does look quite fun. And it's Metroidvania, isn't it? So I can say that I'll have played one then. I'll probably get lost with the map. But anyway, whatever. It'll be a laugh. So look, there's a ton of stuff. There's some real games there, I think. I don't know what they're doing there. Hopefully they'll disappear in the next week or so. So, but should we attack the big game that we're both sort of playing at the
Sure.
moment? This Assassin's Creed Odyssey. So you're telling me before we started you're not totally taken with it.
I'm still having fun with it. I think part of it is personal preference. I preferred Origins. I think just because I have more of an interest in ancient Egypt than I do in kind of ancient Greece.
Yes.
I'm not disinterested in it, but I don't know. I thought Origins was a little more interesting.
There's definitely something to that. I thought the same.
My big problem, look, and I've played, because CJ, I know you haven't. You came onto the.
That's always a safe assumption.
You came onto the series fairly late, right? Like you started around Syndicate, something like that.
Syndicate, Unity. Yeah, that's right.
Unity. So you started like PS4 era, basically.
Yes. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So my first Assassin's Creed game was Assassin's Creed 2. On the PS3. And I have played all of them. I even played the spin-offs on the DS.
Oh wow. So it's safe to say you're a fan of the series overall.
Yeah, I am. I really am.
Or are you just hate playing at this point?
I am not hate playing. I will admit to hate platinuming some of these games.
Yes.
But
not this.
No, I still enjoy the series.
Can I ask, as someone who's played the older games, how do you feel? Because these last two Origins and Odyssey in particular have gone to a very big open world style now, compared to, I mean, you wouldn't say linear, but more linear, definitely, in the older games. How do you find that? Do you like that?
Yeah, this is one of my problems. Is I kind of miss the kind of the almost claustrophobic city settings, where you could, if you found and this is a problem with the older games, was that you couldn't climb just anything. Here you have an open world with no buildings, but you can climb everything, which is kind of ironic. Whereas in the older games you could only climb some things, but everything around you looks like you could climb it, which is just the biggest irony in the world. So, but if you found that right, that right path, you could get clear across the map, just kind of parkouring off of rooftops. In these new games, it's just like, Origins was a fucking desert. There was nothing, and there's just massive spans of desert from town to town. And it's the same way with Odyssey, except it's, it's not desert. It's like woods and grass. I don't know. It's just this big. It almost kind of feels like you could give him a gun and it's just a Far Cry game.
There is a lot of question marks though. There are,
like it's like you're stuck on the island or whatever.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's definitely following a model. I mean, I think if you played Origins and then you're going straight into this, I think you can see a lot of similarity in the way it plays. I mean, I wouldn't go as far as to saying it's just putting a new skin on that game, but in some sections, I think it sort of is. I think it's interesting how much they've developed from that, though. I think there's a lot more systems at play in this one. I don't know. You've got your mercenaries. You've got the next section you're coming up to soon with the cult, and there is a lot more going on there if you choose to interact with it. I think so. It's different. One of my problems with it, this parkouring and stuff like this, though, and I've always had this problem, and this could, again, listeners, it could be my lack of skills. I don't know, but when you're up on a building or you're sort of on the side of one or something else, and you've lined up somebody you want to jump down near or something, and you go for the jump, and then you sort of jump, and then you end up, it grabs a ledge or it just does something you weren't expecting, and it doesn't follow through on how you'd envisaged it in your mind. I don't know if you get that, Mindy, or if you sort of jump, assuming you're going to jump up the stairs and you end up grabbing a thing or something and flying up. So I find that a little bit difficult.
I don't think I've come across that yet.
Yeah, but that's probably just a personal issue of mine. Yeah, I've always found that in all of them. See, I think it's the way I play. Maybe I'm just button mashing too quickly. I get excited. That could definitely
I did
be.
notice. I don't know if this just has been absent in the last few, and I've not remembered.
Mhm.
But you can't jump in this game. Like you used to be able to just jump and run and like sprint, and you can't seem to do either in this game, which is weird.
That's true. I think it's sort of an auto run for you this time.
Yeah, but no, it used to be you could like your character would jog or whatever, and you could hold down a button and they would sprint for a little while.
Yeah.
You can't do that anymore, and you definitely used to be able to jump because I used to do it with Ezio all the time because I got fed up with the fact that you can't climb everything, so I would just jump off the
Mm,
buildings myself, and
mm.
you can't do that in this game.
Are you at all intimidated by the size of this game? Like, I know we talked loosely last week about how long it was. It would be too long for some people to commit to because they don't have that time. Does that, like, are you starting to see the scope of how big the game really is yet? Do you think you're far enough in? Or,
Yeah, and it's and I got I'm gonna be careful here because I know Jim Sterling has talked about this, so I need to be careful with my words here. Ubisoft, like, what did Sterling call it? He called them like he called them massive worlds filled with nothing. I think something like that, where it's just it's
Mm,
these massive, and it's not just a Ubisoft thing. It's most of these companies that are making these sandbox games where it's just this big open world, but there's just nothing in it. With Odyssey, I have found is that I'm like 5 or 6 hours in, and I could not tell you the story of this game right now. Like, I realized that, like, almost everything I've played is a side quest, and I'm in, like, I'm 2 chapters into the game, and I think just about everything on my log has been a side quest.
yes.
That's not a good ratio.
No, and this is the problem I have with a lot of these bigger open world games is how you're supposed to logically keep the main story in your mind when there is so much other stuff going on, side content. And yeah, I would definitely agree with you that, I mean, yesterday I played what I thought was just going to be a side quest, and it opened up to being like a 45-minute, sort of mission, I suppose, or series of missions with cutscenes and everything. And actually, I 3/4 of the way through, I was quite enjoying it. The tale of two brothers and Cassandra, or I suppose whoever you choose as your hero. Actually, it'd be quite interesting if you chose the guy. I imagine in that story. Maybe listeners, if anyone did, you can satiate my interest in that.
Sorry, did you say you chose Cassandra or you chose the other guy?
No, I did choose Cassandra. Yes, yeah. Did you
I
as
did too.
well? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But just to finish that
It
thought,
it's fun it's funny too because there are certain angles, there's certain cutscene angles where it's really obvious that they just put her head on his character model.
yeah, yeah.
Like, the proportions are just wrong.
Well, I mean, some of that up close animation has never been great with Assassins, and it's not improved here. But just to finish that, and so I was going along on this thing, and it ended up being a trophy quest, and it was part of the free additional feats pack or something else. So like and I thought that was great. And the only problem with that was that it was quite involved, and by the end of it, like I thought, well, I could just stop for today now because it had reached a resolution, but it really had nothing to do with the story at all. That quest. It was totally an offshoot of things. So, I mean, I think I found was it chapter 4 and 5? I probably put in maybe 8 hours of gameplay, which again, I suppose is not a lot, to many listeners or whatever. But that was 8 hours where I didn't further the story at all. I just did
Mhm.
other stuff, and for again, it depends. If you're playing 8 hours in one go, I suppose you maybe can keep the thread. But if you're playing 8 hours over a week, then it's hard to remember if a week and a half ago was the last time you actually moved the main story forward. What's going on, and it doesn't do any recap. I don't know if you've noticed this. When you load up, there's no like splash screen like last time you played, this is what happened, or this is where you're at. It's just
Mhm.
go. And for a game this size, like again, if you can marathon this in a week or something, that's probably fine. But if you're going to be chipping away at this over a year, I think those like games like The Witcher, they have these splash screens. Quite a few games do them. It just sort of reminds you where you're at and what was going on. So almost like a last time, whatever. So I don't. I think that sort of talks to that point you were mentioning, I suppose, as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. How have you found this?
It's still early for me, so I'm still, I haven't checked out of it or
No,
anything.
no.
I'm not bored. I got bored with Red Dead Redemption 2. I'm still in this one.
Yeah. Well, it's still arcadey, this game, isn't it? Like, I mean, at its roots, it's sort of, it's just a button masher if you break it down. I think the puzzles are not difficult. There's no craziness.
No, it's just that sometimes you need to realize that walls are breakable when they don't look like they're breakable.
Yeah, yes, in that thing. And the deadliest enemy you've come across so far, is it safe to say it is the snake?
Fucking snakes, man.
Unbelievable, aren't they?
So I was talking to CJ, because we're so far apart geographically. What CJ and I do is we talk to each other for about 10 minutes before we start recording, just to make sure that we're not gonna cut out while recording. And so I was finishing up just this little area in Odyssey, and I told him this about how I was doing a tomb, the first tomb in the game. And I had literally just been thinking, well, at least there are no snakes in this game like there were in Origins, because they were everywhere in Origins, and they would, you would not see them, and they'd just, bite you. And literally right after I had that thought, this snake was in this tomb, and it and it nailed
Well, it
me.
only takes 3 hits. Yeah,
As
3 hits
far
and
as
you're
I
dead.
can tell, the snakes are only in the tombs.
Well, you've got some surprises ahead of you.
Really,
Yes.
because even I've explored a lot of caves in that game, and I haven't come across a single snake
Yeah,
yet. So
they'll be waiting. But what I want to know is, have you come across, now, listeners? I don't know this. I found there's been a couple of things in the animation in the background that have been hilarious, like some of the NPCs, what they're doing, and that's obviously been animated into the cutscenes. But I had this situation, and I don't know whether it was a glitch or whether this is just is supposed to be. But I was. One of the mechanics of the game obviously is these mercenaries, like, that are super enemies, I suppose, if you like, that level up. You keep progressively taking more on. So the more crime or whatever you commit, the more danger, your danger zone goes up, the more likely you are to find these. And of course, you can call more than one at a time. So you can get into a situation where maybe you'll have two of these mercenaries coming at you at the same time, which can be a little bit to handle, especially when you've got your other AI controlled people attacking you. And then, of course, the mercenaries have animals as well that attack you. So all this is going on.
they won't fight each other, though.
No, the mercenaries won't fight each other. They'll only fight you. So
Boo.
it can be a bit going on there if you get too many at once, and because you sort of want to finish them off so you can move along that sort of quest line as well. But so that was all going on, and I'm dodging and I'm rolling, and there was a chicken, and I must have taken a swing at the chicken, and then
The
obviously
chicken's a little.
pissed off chicken. The chicken killed me. It was just out of nowhere. You could not kill this chicken. Like, I was trying to look for a level. This was a level 50 chicken. It was unbelievable. And the paladin, paladin, sorry, the mercenaries, they didn't stand a chance of getting me. The chicken had me down in 2 hits. It was unbelievable.
I've been attacked by 2 or 3 chickens, but I've killed them all. I'm wondering if it's a throwback to, like, the Zelda games, or was it Gears of War, where if you killed enough of them, this mass would show up and just nail you?
So the snake and the chicken are the most deadliest.
I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
But I just fought because there's legendary animals in this game. I just fought and killed a legendary boar. Insert your own joke here about legendary boar. This thing had a squad of attack boars that just,
Mm.
the legendary boar was not a problem. He had all these minions that were just like a strike force
Mm.
that did a lot of damage.
Mm.
I killed it, but it was a lot harder than it should have been.
That's right. It's not to be trifled with, that
Mm-mm.
boar. When I first played this, I'm about. I think I'm about the same point I am now on PS4 that I was on Xbox when I abandoned it. So about 16 or 17 hours in, and that boar I played it normal on Xbox, and that thing was brutal, absolutely brutal. Whereas on easy, it's at least manageable. But yeah, that thing has a reputation. I think it knows how to handle itself. And you as well, pretty much. So, yeah. Look, I'm sure we're going to talk more Assassin's Creed, because you're a completionist, so you're going to have to finish it now you've started, and I'm definitely sucked into it, so I'm going to carry on.
I am, and I kind of wish I'd bought the season pass when it was on. It's a $40 season pass.
Yes, well, that's even more content. Yeah,
I know, right?
yeah. You should look into that, because
That having been said, sidebar, because ostensibly this is a trophy podcast. if you are going for this platinum,
Yes.
difficulty does not matter, so, you can kick it down to easy if you want. I'm playing
Mhm.
on normal, but I'm debating kicking it down to easy. Maybe. Depends on how much I want to
Mm.
grind levels as opposed to just kind of plowing through.
Mm.
B, there is only one missable trophy in the entire list. So it is not a game because some of the Assassin's Creed games you had to plan. Like Origins, I think the only missable trophy was planning because you had to hold on to a whole bunch of inventory and then sell it at once. And I think that was the only missable trophy in the game, but that still took some planning. For Odyssey, the only missable trophy is for sleeping with someone, with anyone. So just when you're talking to people, you'll see these dialogue options and sometimes you'll see a heart. And if all you do is remember, oh, if I see a heart, I need to click the heart,
Yeah.
you're fine.
And there are so many instances of that coming up. In fact, the quest, the additional fate quest that I did, it's almost impossible not to have that happen in that quest. So I think you would really have to be consciously avoiding it, like a eunuch or something to avoid that trophy, I think. So, and listeners, there's another tip as well. It's definitely worthwhile linking your Ubi Play, is that what we call it now, a Ubi Club account or whatever they call it, so that you're entitled to, with your credits if you played other games of theirs, to certain weapons and things. But one of the things you can get, and again, I'm not sure if it's tied to having played other Assassin's games or how it works, but you can actually get 2 legendary lieutenants for free, which is very helpful because you need 4 of them for a trophy in the game anyway. So if you get the 2 off the store for free and download them, you'll only need to do 2. So that saves you
I'll look into that.
a bit of work.
Two quick things. One, I want to say, so I've gotten that missable trophy, the sleeping with someone,
Mm,
and it was really funny to me because I'd been choosing this option every time I saw this girl,
yes.
and so I followed up with some cheesy ass pickup line like maybe we could read it together, and the girl was like, yeah, sometimes I thought there'd be something between us, but I don't think so.
Ah,
All right, so I was like, "Oh, I messed up that interaction.
yes.
Whatever, this is just one person." The next dialogue option I had was a heart option, so I picked it just out of habit, and she slept with me. And I
She
was
was
like,
hate sleeping with
"Wait
you.
a minute. This girl just said this girl just said it wasn't gonna happen, and then all of a sudden we're sleeping together."
See, I did
Okay.
wonder about that because some of those choices later in the game, they actually become time choices. And there was a section where there were quite a lot of choices at very short time limit. And that's obviously where the conversation's heading. And I wondered if you picked some of the wrong ones, if you would still get to the same result. And perhaps you do. I did wonder about that as I went through.
I
Interesting.
just thought it was really funny
Yeah,
that
yeah.
she was like, "I thought there might be something between us, but I don't think so." And then the response was like, "But how do you know?" And she's like, "Oh, you're right. Let's sleep together."
It was a different time. They were sleeping with everything: goats, chickens. Who knows? It was very free and liberal, wasn't it, back then? So you could do whatever you wanted.
I guess, man.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Look, we'll definitely come back to that one, listeners. And look, if you are intimidated by that game and its length, look, just do what I'm going to do. Just play it over the next year or so, because there's no more Assassins coming for at least another year. So you got plenty of time. We'll just chip away at it together. We'll have no idea what's going on by the.
Right? Or take advantage of the story mode, because Ubisoft has done something really interesting here, that I think has kind of shot themselves in the foot. So they just recently
Yes.
pushed out Story Creator, where you can make your own levels and push them out into people's games if they're playing the game online and they've enabled Story Creator mode to show up in their game. You can play people's levels, like think like Little Big Planet, things like that. The problem here is is that whereas Little Big Planet was a game that did not shove microtransactions in your face, this game definitely does. And there is a grind to this game. There is a level grind, there is a resource grind, there is an XP grind. And what
Hmm.
Ubisoft, and to be fair, not just Ubisoft, but most companies that have these kind of time saver packs or resource packs or what the hell ever. That's what they want you to do. They want you to buy your way past the grind, right? But now they've put out this thing for free that anyone can play where people are just creating XP farm levels, resource farm levels,
Yes.
where
Yeah.
you don't have to do anything, or you do something very minimal and you get massive amounts of whatever it is you're looking for, completely bypassing these which is fantastic, honestly, I think. But it kind of astonishes me that Ubisoft did not realize that people were going to do this, and a lot of people were going to do it. Because I remember Little Big Planet, like half of the community levels were play this level and you will get these 12 trophies, or play this community level and you will get these resources that are required for this trophy. Like, that's what trophy hunters do, man.
But see, I mean, this is just going the way of a broken economy. Like, I mean, in a lot of ways, this game is like an MMO without the M in the center. It's not multiplayer, but in every other way, it's a massive, multiplayer game, if you like. And inevitably, the economy is broken. At some point, some people do whatever, and so this is just assisting in that. I think it's an option you can take, to do what you're saying. I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
No, I don't think there's anything wrong with it at all. I just think it's funny that they didn't see that happening.
Oh, coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with you, yeah. And I mean, look, some of those stories that I've played a couple, and some, a word of warning, some of them are not in English, so I played one in Spanish and one in French, which is interesting, but there are, there are obviously, yeah, that's exactly. And no, parlez-vous anglais? Mon Dieu. And so it's not, so you need to be careful. But then I played one that was, it was Star Wars. It was all about the Jedi Council, obviously, which is just, so I think there's some fantastic moments in there. People are just, going absurd. And I mean, how they do it, obviously, is that there are no cutscenes. So it plays a little bit like a splash screen, like a visual novel, if you like. You have a picture of the character, and then they've obviously written the dialogue, and then it's a picture of another, and then it proceeds like a normal quest would or whatever else. So yeah, I think it's a cool little feature, and they gave it away for free. So good luck to them. I think it's a feature that some of these other bigger games will hopefully add, just for a bit of a laugh.
It'll be interesting to see if they continue it and put it in like the next Far Cry or the next.
Yeah. Well, it does come with a warning at the start too that the Ubisoft are not controlling the content, and so by accepting to play them, you do take whatever's presented sort of to your discretion. There is obviously an option to report stories if you think they're inappropriate, but I suppose you can there are a ton of stories, so it's very possible that you'll come across one that no one's really played before, or it might be a new one. So I suppose you beware. But look, I mean, if you're playing that game anyway, I'm sure you can handle whatever anyone can write. And put down the pipeline for you there. So we will come back to that. But how about we shift across to some new releases for this week?
Oh, right.
So while you're bringing up the list there, so again, E3 is over, so we're going back to slamming everybody with games, and we're up to 19 different games this week. So we're obviously not going to go through all 19 because that would be insane. We'll just pick a couple. Maybe just a couple each, I suppose. So did you want to throw one out first, Mindy, or?
Sure. I haven't looked much at this, actually. If you have one, why don't you start? Because I haven't actually looked at this.
Yeah, perfect. So as I said, there's a ton of them. I'm going to throw out one that comes out tomorrow here in Australia at time of recording, but by the time you hear this, it will be out. And that is the Monster Jam Steel Titans. So Monster Jam, like a fantastic, fun, silly, cheesy or whatever series that's come through PS3 to here. It's being bought by THQ Nordic, the people that own everything, basically. So they're putting this one
and do their AMAs on 8chan.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, it's coming out at a close to full price game or a full price game, depending on your region. So it will be interesting. It just says here, real trucks, real action, Monster Jam Steel Titans delivers the complete Monster Jam experience for everybody to enjoy. There's no way you couldn't know it's Monster Jam. All the trucks, stunts, stadiums, racing, and massive air in one game. Play in various game modes, including stadium and outdoor racing, various stunt challenges, and destruction modes. So in the previous games, there's in some of the previous games, there's been an option where it's like a 3D side scroller, if you like, as well to some of the races. My understanding is that's not the case in this one at all. This is just sort of track racing and open world racing. So it's worth a look. It looks like the platinum will be very easy with perhaps a small grind, or maybe more than small grind for just unlocking the monster trucks, all of them. But that looks like a lot of fun, and I'm definitely going to jump on that one. And there's no online either, which is awesome.
You have fun with that one.
I will do. I love the Monster Jam games. Have you got something for us, Mindy?
Yeah, Irony Curtain from Matryoshka with Love.
Mm.
Irony Curtain is a satirical point-and-click inspired by the classic adventure games. It smuggles you out of your comfort zone and throws you into the middle of a Cold War spy intrigue where there's an even bigger game being played. So this, I've kind of kept an eye on it for about 6 months now, because I do love these homages to 90s point-and-clicks. Like Deponia. Deponia was very much we loved the old 90s point-and-clicks, like the old LucasArts ones. We're trying to make something in that vein. This seems to be the same thing. Surprisingly, it was developed by Artifex Mundi. It is not a hidden adventure game. This is Artifex Mundi making a point-and-click adventure game.
Mm. So is this a new game, or is this like a port?
A little bit of both. It is technically a port, but it is new in as much as it released like last month.
Yes.
So, whereas most Artifex Mundi games have been out for several years before they make it onto PS4, this is, a month or two at the most. So I'm actually, theoretically, I don't know if anyone's been looking at my Twitter this week, theoretically, I am on the list of game code recipients now from Artifex Mundi.
Congratulations.
But I have not heard back from them. So we'll see what happens. Theoretically, I'm on the list, and they said, well, do you want North American? And I said specifically this one. I was like, I've been really looking forward to this, to Irony Curtain. They called me an influencer,
Yes.
and that made me laugh. They said, well, do you want North American or European? North American ones will be going out a little later. And I said, I have both. Like, I have both. I have a North American and a European account. Whichever one is fine. I just want it as early as possible because, these things take time, right? And I haven't heard back.
Well, you're going to influence people into getting the platinum,
right?
So maybe you'll influence me.
And I do have to credit where credit is due. I got to give a shout out to Dino Roar.
Mm-hmm.
He played something of mine, I think probably Queen's Quest 3, and kind of wrote a tweet about it, and gave me an with Artifex Mundi, and I replied to him and said,
cool.
Thanks, I really should be getting these codes, but whatever. And Artifex Mundi picked that up and said, contact us. So, got to give a shout out to him for that.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Dino Raw. And I believe you classify yourself as a boring person, Mr. Dino Raw, but I would probably beg to differ. But I'm going to take you up on that point again later. I did read your message. Thank you for that and your questions. Good, Mindy. Well, I'm looking forward to that, and I think you definitely deserve the codes. Yeah, we will. Hopefully that will come through at some point for you. I'm going to throw out another one because look, how can you not throw out this game? Car Mechanic Simulator. Oh, come on. Yes. Build and expand your repair service empire in this incredibly detailed and highly realistic simulation game, where attention to car detail is astonishing. Find classic, unique cars in the new barn find. So we're just going to rip off our Horizon here, but that's okay. And Junkyard module. Car Mechanic Simulator also includes car auctions where old cars are available for your collection. So look, that actually might be more than I thought. Because as listener, if you're familiar, there are simulator games for everything now. You've got your log simulator, forest simulator, airport simulator, fire truck simulator, or firefighter simulator. But now we have Car Mechanic Simulator. But perhaps this is actually more of a full.
I don't know, man. Anytime I hear a game called Simulator, I just assume it's a joke.
Yes, yeah. Well, yeah, it's changed.
Well, because you had real simulator games, and then you had this span of just awful games on like Steam that was like, XYZ Simulator, but they're all really bad. So any game with simulator on it got this kind of reputation of poorly made, whatever. And then Goat Simulator came out, and it was It was
Yes.
a parody of all of those awful games, but Goat Simulator was actually fun. And then games seem to have kind of shied away from using the term simulator, but then, what are the ones that have come out on PS4? You got Job Simulator,
Yes.
Vacation Simulator, and those are jokey games. Part of me is wondering if this is for real or if it's kind of jokey. I don't know.
Well, maybe we will find out.
I know you're going to buy it, so you let me know.
I know you're not going to play it, so we're at an impasse. Have you got another one for us? I can see there's something there that you're going to like.
Yeah, and I know one of us is going to bring it up, so it might as well be me. Let's talk The Sinking City.
Yes.
The Sinking City is an adventure and investigation game set in an open world inspired by the universe of H.P. Lovecraft, the master of horror. Capital H horror. The half-submerged city of Oakmont is gripped by supernatural forces. You're a private investigator, and you have to uncover the truth of what has possessed the city and the minds of its inhabitants. So this is a game I played last month, and it was called Call of Cthulhu. No, I'm just kidding.
It's basically the same, yeah.
I'm just kidding, but literally, I feel like, just replace the name.
Yeah.
And it's...
Yeah.
I'm still looking forward to it. I've seen a little bit of gameplay, and I've liked what I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm probably going to pick this up. I don't know if it'll be day one, but I'm probably going to pick this up. Yeah.
Just before, and listeners, take this with a grain of salt. Just before we recorded today, I was just doing some random reading, and a topic came up about this game because if you pre-order it, that it will be available in effect now, as of this time of actually recording. And a couple of people, well, in fact, only one person, so I can't verify it, but has mentioned that there are some massive screen tearing issues in that game at present as well. So it may be a case of maybe just, quite often they don't put the day one patches into these pre-order pre-releases. They don't come till the actual day of release, so it may be a situation there that it's a different game come I think it's out Thursday or Friday or something than it is now.
This is the one. Sorry, this is the one. I normally pre-order or whatever. This is the one you actually get a free game when you pre-order this, and not even the special edition, the regular $60 edition. If you pre-order it digitally, you get a free copy of Sherlock Holmes' Devil's Daughter.
Which is a good deal. That's a good game.
It's a good deal. It's a good game. It's an easy platinum.
Mm-hmm.
I should probably post the walkthrough I wrote last year for it and never did.
Yeah. In fact, who knows? It may even turn out to be better than The Sinking City, that Sherlock Holmes, because that was good, The Devil's Daughter.
Right.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see. So, look, listeners, there's a ton of stuff. Now, we're not going to read all 19 of them, but there's possibly stuff there that you would be interested in. So I'll just throw out a couple of other ones in there as well. We've got this Akash, which is like a a visual novel, I believe, in English. F1 2019, obviously big racing title there. Furwind, which looks like a pretty cute indie platformer, actually. We've got a little bit of spam with the Nekopara Volume 3, set your machines to skip and your wallet to exposed. For that game, a Super Neptunia RPG comes out on Friday. We've talked about that already. I would definitely recommend. There's a VR experience for the new Spider-Man movie that's coming out as well this week that will no doubt be free, I imagine, as well. And there's a game that I believe is out now. Well, will be out by the time of recording, which is called River Bond. So I'm going to talk more about this game next week, only to say that it does have a plat. The list is not syncing. The devs are working on that. It's a voxel style rogue light, but it's incredibly light. You have eight characters, 8 different stories, and each map, if you die on your set back to the start of the map, but the maps are very short, a couple of minutes each, but the enemies you kill stay dead, or if they're injured, if you've taken away some of their health bar, it also goes down. It's a really beautiful game. It's around 30 Australian dollars, so equivalent on the others. I would highly recommend this game, or at least looking up about it. I find it fantastic. It will be a very easy plat, around 5 hours or so when the list does sync as well. So that could be something to jump on and have a look there. Yeah. Are you happy with that, Mindy, for those? I think that's...
Yeah, I think so.
Is there anything else?
I'm gonna special shout out to this game that I've not heard of.
Please.
We the Revolution.
Yes.
A unique game with singular art style. That's a phrase. With a singular art style set in the blood-soaked and paranoid world of the French Revolution, where often you could not tell a friend from enemy. Engage in a mix of genres, blending case building with intrigue crafting and turn-based tactics.
Something for everybody.
Right? I part of this kind of sounds like what's it called? Papers, Please.
Ah, yes.
It kind of sounds like and granted I haven't looked at this game at all, but it kind of sounds like one of those you decide who's a traitor and who's not, and maybe you're right and maybe
Yeah.
you're wrong. I could be dead wrong about that, but that was kind of the first thing that came to my head there.
Oh, well, I don't know anything either about that. It's we dot the revolution. We full stop. I like it. Yeah, it's very, very
Yeah.
powerful. We shall see. Yeah, good. So look, listeners, there is a ton of stuff there. Protect your wallets or don't. The choice is really yours there, but I'm sure you'll find something. So we're just gonna mosey along to the news of the week. So I'm taking the
This is mostly you, man.
I was just going to say, I'm going to take the news hostage because it would be remiss of me not to talk about the biggest release of this week. Well, the biggest release, I think, for myself and how many other millions? 16 million other people now, I think, across systems for the Final Fantasy XIV expansion that is coming out this week. So we'll get into that a little bit in a sec. But the first point that I just want to bring up, for those of you that are Final Fantasy fans will know that Final Fantasy 15 has finally finished. Does that excite you, Mindy? Will you ever play 15?
I'll play. First of all, that was a lot of F's. The alliteration there was nice. Final Fantasy 15 has finally finished.
Thank you.
I'll probably play Pocket Edition.
Yes.
It's just I got a whole lot of other stuff I want to play, and I
Yeah.
do want to play 15. But then the completionist in me kicks in, and I'm like, but I can't complete it. If I play it, it'll be on an alt.
There's no rush.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah. Well, for those of you that have been following the game, obviously there was more DLC that was going to go through this year as well, including a character chapter for Noctis, the main character. But unfortunately, that was all cancelled when the lead game designer split from Square and went on to develop their own project and own studio. Now, there's finally some stuff that's come up about this or come out about this, and the game that they're working on or he's working on is called No Straight Roads, and it's a music rhythm game. So it's a little bit of a sidestep, if you like, or a new direction. So just some little facts about this game that I dug up. So you can play as the characters Mayday and Zook. Or Zook, and you're against different bosses. So the game is described as a narrative based music rhythm game, but told in visuals, not in actual spoken word. So I watched a little bit of footage, and I would encourage anyone to check this game out because it does play like a button prompt hitting thing, but it's got each boss level that I've seen so far is quite different. There's one there that represents a bit of like a Guitar Hero type thing with the fretboards, although a different play on it where you're running along and dodging some of the beats as well, and some of the off beats. And there was one in particular that I really liked was a classical music boss. So it just shows you the wide array of music that will potentially be in this game. And it was quite a deep story that was telling as well about manipulation and power and sort of perhaps living through your child in music and things like this. So it looks really interesting. I would highly recommend checking that out, or even just reading the article on Kotaku by Gita Jackson from earlier this week, which provides a hands-on look at the actual game. But let's just spend a little time with Final Fantasy XIV, the new expansion, Shadowbringers. So if you pre-order this game, you will be able to play it as of this Friday, the 28th. If you don't pre-order it, you will be able to play it from the 2nd of July. If you're a Final Fantasy player and you haven't pre-ordered it, you should really do that because there are lots of good little freebies. You get a mount, you get a 30% XP increasing necklace, which will help you as the level cap moves to 80 from 70, or will help you on any other character in leveling up as well. So as not to bore the listeners that have not played the greatest game on the consoles at the moment, I'll be very brief here.
Tell me how you really feel, CJ.
I was wondering if you're going to jump in there. But look, to be honest with you, 90% of our listeners' eyes will have glazed over by now, and they're just like, yeah, whatever. But the Plat is long or whatever. But this game is fantastic. Obviously, not for trophies, just for the game itself.
This is another example of why we should put the spam stuff at the beginning of the show.
Yes. Yeah, well, look, you're going to need a
Because at least
lot of
they'd be playing
spam.
the spam stuff while they're listening to
Oh,
this
I see what
part.
you're saying. Yeah, I was going to say you would need a lot of spam if you're going to play Final Fantasy 14 and spam along as well. Years worth of spam, perhaps. I don't know. So anyway, the new expansion sits at the end of the previous other two. Of course, there's a lot of free missions as well. So if you were jumping in now, you're probably looking at close to 200 hours before you would even, from the beginning, to even get to this point. And there, of course, are options to buy your way up to this point. But what would be the point in a story-based game expansion like this? Of course, the expansion adds two new character classes, if you like, Gunblade and Dancer, a new tank, and a new DPS with some pretty cool looking moves, particularly the Dancer. I found from some of the things that I saw, a new area, Crystarium, or new city, I should say, and a new areas as well. But perhaps the biggest thing, and this excites me a lot, is that you will now, through this thing called the trust system, you'll now be able to play dungeons just by yourself with NPC characters. So previously to now, you've had to matchmake into a dungeon, and depending on the time you play in your character class, particularly if you're a DPS, the wait can be quite long. So obviously, if you've joined a guild, that potentially can help you out if you talk to and contact those people. But if not, the wait, it can be quite tough, particularly if you are, predominantly wanting to play this game by yourself. With the addition of the trust system, you can now basically, play this whole game by yourself if you wanted to. And it is an MMO, but it is a weird game that it actually holds up quite well as a sort of single player game if you don't want to interact with others as well. So the characters you'll be able to choose from in your party, yeah, I think you can choose from them. Or you may be able to put in some real people with them, or you'll just take them all. So you have Thancred, oh my goodness, Uranger, Alisaie, Alphinaud, and Minfilia. So that's great. I just love Alphinaud and Alisaie. So I'll just put them in my party. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked, and I'm getting excited too because it is so close to coming out. So I can't wait for that. I have a feeling that this could be the end of Assassin's Creed for me if I get sucked into this game too hard. But we shall see. We shall see. I still have a couple of story missions before I'm at that point of the new expansion, so I should try and do that as well. So something for some of our listeners. I know Murdered Out will be along there with me on his world as well, playing that as well. So hopefully a couple of other people. And look, if you sat on the fence forever and you're thinking about jumping in, yes, you're probably going to lose 500 hours in that game over time. But it's a good 500 hours. I think. I don't think I've convinced Mindy.
I'm just wondering if
it's ever going to end.
If we need to pre-record like 6 podcasts because you're just going to be gone, or
I thought you were going to say because I wouldn't stop gushing about Final Fantasy. He's just off. I'll come back in 2 hours. No, I kept it very, very brief. But yeah, that is exciting, and obviously for a huge number of people because the game had in effect finished. There wasn't going to be any more expansions, and then this came along. So that that's great. And why wouldn't they support it? A subscription game, they are probably raking in the money. So why would you stop that from coming down the pipeline? Yeah. So with that in mind, shall we finish up with some spam for this week?
Spammy spam.
Yes. Everybody loves some spam. Throw us.
All right. So I haven't finished last week's, but I'm assuming last week you covered Siberian.
Yes, I think
the rat game of the week.
We may have covered it, but no one would have played it by that point. So that's very quick. That's 20 to 30 minutes. Yeah, definitely spam.
If I did not know better, I would say Mars Alive. While it looks like a spam game, if I didn't know better, I would call this week's rat game. Except there's no platinum, and it's a VR game. And those are both things that Radalaika has not done.
Oh.
But there's like 4 stacks of this game.
That's true.
I don't know, because I'm looking at the list, and it says finish game with X ending. One of them is finished with Hail Friendship and finished with Trust Each Other 30 days in a single game. Like, they expect you to play this game.
Yeah, so I think we can do better than that.
Paper Dolls, probably not spam, but this game has like 8 different lists.
I don't know that any are out yet, are they? I'm not sure.
I don't know. There's like 8 lists for this game.
Well, this is Paper Dolls Original. Yeah, so I don't know.
Oh, yeah, and then Paper Dolls has like 6 lists in and of itself, and then Original has 2 or 3.
Someone should play that, listeners. Someone play it and tell us what it's like.
Hang on, I
It's
just
probably
sorry, I just did a
ultra
search. So Paper Dolls has 4 lists: European, Japanese, Asian, and North American. And then Paper Dolls Original has two lists.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All the children are present. Excellent.
I'm gonna throw out Project Lux, which is another VR game.
Oh,
It has
yes.
such trophies as use the save function and look at and inspect an object.
Yes.
Gonna go ahead and throw that one on the spam
So
pile.
this is an interesting one. This has actually been on PC for some time. This is actually an anime movie. This is not a game. There is some interaction involved in it, but by and large, it's an 80-minute movie. Now, this never had any achievements on the PC when it came out, but it does have. It's only a 100% game on the console. I am not sure though. There are 2 different endings, so it's possible that you may.
And there's a trophy for each ending.
Yeah, maybe a save manipulation, or it might be actually to play through. It's actually supposed to be quite good. Unfortunately, it's very pricey for 80 minutes for a thing that's more of an experience than a game. So I think it is spam, potentially good spam. But I don't know. If someone wants to bite the bullet on that one and let us know as well, that would be appreciated. Thank you.
And then I just want to bring out, not because I think it's trophy spam, maybe it is, but it does look like you have to play this game. Mostly because this game does not understand how subtitles work. You know what I'm talking about, don't you?
I'm not sure which one.
Oh, okay. So the game's called Epic World.
Oh, okay.
But the full title of this game, and this game does not understand subtitles. So it says Epic World at the top, like the top banner says Adventure, the bottom banner says Hunt for Quest. I do not understand the title of this game.
Yes.
Because even if I give them the benefit of the doubt and say that adventure is not part of the title, it's just them displaying the genre of the game, the title would then be Epic World Hunt for Quest, which makes no sense. Like, unless there's someone named Quest in this game, Questlove is a person that exists, so maybe, but I don't know, man. I don't know.
It's possible you've put more thought just then into the name than they ever did. So
it's quite possible. Also, there's 2 stacks in this game, so
yeah. It has that Crocodile World style list as well. Get 3 stars, then just finish each section.
Yeah, right. And then special shout out to Late Shift, which just got another stacking list.
Yes.
Probably, given the pattern of these several-year-old games getting a new list, probably going to be a Japanese stack. I hesitate to call it spam because it's actually a good game. But it is a pretty quick and easy platinum to get, though.
Yeah, I think this is highly possible this is a Japanese stack because a Japanese version of this game appeared a couple of days ago for 1,500 yen. So we'll take a stab and find out whether it is or not, I think later today. But I would be, I think that's probably what it is. If it's either that or it's going to be the Asian stack on the Hong Kong store. It'll be one of those 2, which is not up there yet. So, yeah, that's a good game, though. I'm going to play that again. Would you play that again, Mindy? I like that game.
Oh, yeah, I liked it. I got a soft spot in my heart for FMV games. And these are the people who did Shapeshifting Detective and no, these aren't the Shapeshift. No, I'm sorry. It's the company that published them. It's not the same people who did Shapeshifting Detective. That was the Dr. Decker people.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
But these are the same people that published those and The Bunker.
That's right. Yeah. And it's a little bit more involved than The Bunker, this one as well. It had a little bit more split parts.
Yeah, and this one definitely takes itself seriously.
Yeah. No, it's quite good. I'll definitely, and as I said, listeners, we'll dig into that one, or you may have already dug into it by the time you hear this. Of course, Luna is there as well. That's high quality spam. I would recommend playing that for the hour. You'll enjoy it. So, look, more than enough for everybody. There is more than enough stuff there.
Oh, you might like this one because you keep talking about how visual novels are all for the guys. This is an Otome visual novel, so it's more like a Hakuoki, where it's just a bunch of hot dudes.
Yes, well. Let's hope. Let's hope that we bring out the Japanese housewife in all of us. That's what I enjoy. So look, I don't know, but look.
They're all elves. They've all got like pointy ears. I think they're all elves.
Oh well, I have my Alphinaud from Final Fantasy. I'm going to be well in hand and busy this week, so we shall see. But maybe next week. So listeners, there's a ton there. There's almost enough there to get Mindy to 500 plats. We're trying hard. We'll get her there one day, off the back of the Assassin's Creed, no doubt. But look, I think we've come to that point where we bid you farewell for another week. I hope you have a fantastic gaming week. Mindy, would you like to do a little self-promotion?
Yeah, you can find me on PlayStationTrophies.org. If you want to write a trophy guide, hit me up. I will help you through the process. Twitter @TheMindIsACity.
Perfect. And if you're looking for the show has its own Twitter @push2plat, push2plat. That is being managed by Mindy. If you have any queries, concerns, or complaints, please address them to her, not me.
And CJ. Mindy and CJ. I have not taken sole ownership of that Twitter account.
That's true. I sometimes like something because I can't figure out whether I'm on mine or the Push to Plat show. But the good news is no one will be able to find mine because it has so many numbers after it. For some reason, I can't even find it. So that is fun. So the show is available on the iTunes.
I actually had to, as Push to Plat, I had to follow CJ's account. He created both accounts, and I had to follow it. For him.
Well, I look as the people that on my Twitter would know, I did a big drive last week. I was a little concerned that I didn't have enough followers. I was sitting on 12 followers, and I thought it was time to take a stance and get to 13 followers for this year. I would be happy with 13. So I put out a little drive. I managed to get my 13th follower. I closed followings. I don't know, is that how you call it? I didn't need any more followers. I would come back in 2020 for follower 14. And I noticed that, as a bit of a joke, I'm now up to 15. So somebody's having a bit of a laugh. But I will have to ask somebody to leave because I'm going to follow a 14 in 2020, not before that time. But anyway, that's a little bit of fun for me. But look, to be honest with you, I probably forget my password and won't be able to log back in until 2020 anyway. So it is all good. So anyway, we got sidetracked. The show is available on iTunes Podcast, YouTube, SoundCloud, Stitcher Radio, and Spotify. Remember to give us a like, subscribe, send us a question, say hi, do whatever you like. It all helps us in finding some fantastic new guests for you and bringing gaming information to you along as we go. So with that in mind, I'm going to sign off there. Have a fantastic week. Lots of plats, lots of trophies, hopefully some fun as well. Play Final Fantasy now. And thank you, Mindy.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.